Welcome to Inside the Firm, a podcast dedicated to small business owners and hosted by entrepreneurs, Alex Gore and Lance Cayko. Each week, they take you on their journey of how to start, run, and grow a business by bringing you inside their architecture and real estate development firm. Get a behind-the-scenes tour of how these business leaders manage their clients and foster company culture while creating new and innovative projects. And now your hosts, Alex Gore and Lance Cayko.
I wanted to kick off this podcast with two ideas for you. Okay?
All right.
The first is I wanted to bring it up because I don't know if it's that big of an issue. And this pertains to all architects or anything that basically you have to go to the city to for approval. And you can either have no revisions whatsoever and it just comes through. Client doesn't even tell you. They're building the house and they're like, oh yeah.
Had that happen before, yes. Mm-hmm.
To 14 rounds of revisions. That's exaggeration.
And then we look like the bad guys.
And then, so it can span the craziness, from those extremes. So I thought, what if we try to make it more clear in our contract? And I don't know if we want to pull the trigger because it just might lead to
more clear about what? That there's a possibility of all of the above.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it might lead to like information overload. But here's what I'm thinking. I put in the example contract. So in our contract, we have phases: schematic design, design development, and then CDs, right? And then basically the contract says what CDs are your permit set. Here's a listing of the sheets you're going to get, and then it goes into our boilerplate legal stuff, right? Within that legal stuff, there is reimbursable expenses, right? So I thought, what if we did that? What if we put a phase in there that said post-submittal, right? And it said
post-submittal phase.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Weeks 1 to 3, whatever, post weeks. Address city comments, resubmit based on city comments. The deliverables, I just wrote this up, so we'll format it a little bit better. But, the resubmittal plans, coordinated, and then fee, hourly as necessary, first 8 hours gratis.
Sorry. Keep going.
So that's an idea that I wanted to bring up. And
I like it, except I don't like the first gratis.
Well, I mean, we normally do that.
But I don't do 8 hours anymore.
What do you do? 6,
I
4?
do, if it's less than an hour, I'll just take care of it. And my comments have been less than an hour.
Even dealing with Denver this last time?
On the first round? Yeah. Yeah. The hardest part about Denver and getting your plans submitted properly is every time we go in there, there's something extra that they want on the plans, and then they reject the initial submittal.
Before it even gets in.
Right. And usually, and then we just take care of it no matter what, because it's really hard to justify anything at that point because it's the clients and everybody else expects, like, what are you guys doing? This should be accepted.
Exactly. Our deliverable is a set that gets accepted.
Exactly. So on the second round though, we have been getting comments back where like it's less than an hour, and a lot of it is just copy paste. I'm literally copying and pasting exactly what the building official is saying onto our drawings, and it makes them happy.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they're done. I haven't had a lot of craziness happen lately.
And actually, most of mine, this came from getting it into the city, and it's mainly come from Denver because Denver did this huge, crazy shift.
Yeah, but I still like this idea of adding it to the contract 100%. I'll just have to format. I'll just have to format it in the way that we think that is.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
we will. I should.
Yeah,
say.
this was just the first stab because who knows too if what another city switches over mid-submittal, and then
literally, and that's how it happens. Exactly. It's this weird.
Yep.
Oh, we just hired Jan, and Jan is in there. She replaced Becky. Thank God, because Becky was awful.
Yeah.
But now Jan's even worse.
Man, I didn't know you could go worse, but they did. Wow. Okay. Second idea. In our boilerplate, it ends with hourly fees, hourly rates, right? So we have our drafting fee, our architect record fee, structural engineer fee, and that's where we stop.
Yep.
Right? What if we had in there, just to let them know, again, this might be information overload, landscape design. So in the, hey, normally that doesn't happen until later, but you can contact through us. We know our landscape designers. We can help run and coordinate that. Interior design, again, we know that too. And then photorealistic renderings, right? And these, again, these numbers we'll switch and we'll hone in on, right? Interior and exterior, just in case they want. Here's
how we have to format it then. So Alex put this in right in our schedule of additional hourly rates. What we should do is there should be additional
services.
Yes, schedule of optional additional services.
Yeah.
And then I don't think it's overload. You just have to make it. I think you have to make it distinctly clear from the other one.
Yep.
And then I think it's a good idea.
And honestly,
it'd be nice to just be able to put fixed fees in though for let's say this is a custom house or a custom remodel, or commercial buildings are a little bit trickier because they're not trickier because we have to do all that stuff anyway.
Yep.
So
I would like to, but in my head, what it came down to is okay, then we need to contact the LA, unless we're going to do it ourselves, aka one of our guys, Jason, is going to do it.
Landscape. He's the landscaper.
Yep. Then I think we could, right? Especially if it goes through and we know that the cities will accept it from us. But to put together a package within 24 hours and then call these other people and then get them, one, that's going to take a phone call, then two, they're going to take a day, then it's a 3-day thing, just to get a hard number,
right? But I think what you just mentioned is perfect. So then we say, okay, let's contact. Let's finally get in touch with a landscape architecture firm that we like to work with, and we just say, here's what we'll put in for your number. Can we do that for customs?
And don't have them look and change.
No, we just say it is a house. It is that we need some kind of boilerplate fee we can put in for you. Same thing with interior design. Then we can start putting in for maybe the interior designers we want to work with. Here you go. Here's what it costs. Additional services if you guys want. Or optional additional services if you want them. I don't think it's bad to have options at all. But we just have to make it clear that this is outside of the original. This is an option.
Yep.
Then I don't think it's overload. It's overload if they think they're getting roped into something more than we're originally suggesting.
Yeah. And then I think we just need to look through all the housings that we do and come up with categories okay, here's a house on a 1 acre site. What's your 1 acre site? What's your 1 acre site with a irrigation plan? What's your half acre site that's just traditional suburbia, and then we'll know the house. And
what's our incentive for this?
Additional fee because we have to coordinate and all that. So they'll give us their fee. Let's say $3,000. Right? Okay. Now it's $3,500.
Got it. And just built into the optional. That's interesting. Hey, that's not a bad idea.
And then to go on top of that, I got crazy with these ideas. Some company, because of our tiny house, wanted us to become resellers for some sort of toilet system that they had.
Okay.
And I don't know what I said. I said, I just kind of.
How come nobody ever contacts us to be resellers of beer?
Oh, that'd be great.
Right?
Drink it all.
Yeah. Tiny house whiskey or something.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Exactly. But what I don't even know if it's illegal or not, because it seems like the word kickback, which we do not want to do, right? But what are
it's affiliate.
Yeah,
you're an affiliate. That's not. There's nothing bad about that. A lot of people do that.
Yeah. And I know
we're already doing that, aren't we?
Well, I think this is something we'd work out with the contractor, or maybe we'd have hey, with our CD set, we deliver a page that says, if you what are our big things?
I really
panels.
like the craziness of where you're going now. Yeah, it's not even crazy. This is awesome.
Yeah. So siding, windows, solar panels, and if we could funnel that through our channels and then say, hey, at least have us bid it out, these things, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Interior designers do this all the time. People listening are probably like, you guys are idiots. People already do this.
Yeah. You know what? Entree architect community, can you tell us if
just
people...
anybody who's listening.
Yeah. Can you tell us if this is a thing? And maybe we'll ping them on Facebook too.
Interior designers do this constantly.
I know, but then why can't... I've never heard of an architect doing that. Why can't we do that? For siding, windows, solar panels.
And roofing.
And roofing. Oh, and roofing.
Absolutely. Huh. We should just talk to one of our contractors that does a lot of our work and say, hey, what lumberyard are you using? Can we get in touch with them? Or are you thinking you have to go right to the manufacturer? How does it work?
I don't know.
Huh. You just got to start down the rabbit hole, maybe.
Yeah. But here's another thing too. So with yards,
why wouldn't we do this?
So with lumber yards, because we had someone who worked at a lumber yard and now does again, anyways. So he was kind of griping a little bit that the salespeople come in and they get a commission per sales, and the people that draw it
compared to the estimators,
yeah, and the estimators. I mean, just imagine all the work, and especially working off of AutoCAD plans,
counting studs, disgusting.
Oh, you're right. So they'd get these big commissions just for whining and dining. So can we have those commissions? Is that where it works? Like I will bring lumberyard you this project.
Exactly.
Can I have that commission?
Can we have? Yeah, we should figure that out.
Yeah,
that's a good idea.
Salesforce.
Yeah, you're getting crazy awesome.
Yeah, but then the only thing is, I love it is that wouldn't the contractor have those contacts too? So I don't know where it comes in. I don't know, but maybe it's something like, I don't know. Maybe it's that sheet that explains like, hey, the owner wants and we want you to bid out yours, but also bid out ours. If they're the same, that's fine. But if they're different, at least get them from both.
Yeah.
So at least it's a possibility of that.
Right.
And then once it's out to the owner and the contractor, we let those people know, lumberyard siding people, hey, this project comes in, this is our referral.
There you go. I think we just have to go down the rabbit hole and see if it's even a thing, a possibility.
So that's all I got. I'll just check out for the rest of the podcast. Let you lead.
Wow. So now it's my turn, huh? No. I really like that idea. Absolutely. So here's what I have. So we should have asked this poll question last week in the Entre Architect community. How many design options do you give your clients? Because we talked about it on our podcast. So I did that. I asked, if you are designing a custom home for a new client, how many initial design options do you give them? So here's where it broke down to, Al. 29 said 3 options, 11 said 2 options, and 6 said 1 option. And then our wonderful friend Adam Mayberry so eloquently pointed out, actually, if you only give them 1, isn't that a solution?
Yeah. I liked your GIF reply.
Oh.
You got me there.
I was like, that's a good point. I'm giving you
one
a
design
solution.
Yeah. And what we said is that if we were going to do multiple options, it'd be based off the same concept. But I haven't done 3 design options in years. I want to say years.
I want to say the same thing too. I can't think of when I've done multiple options.
Yep. And we were talking with our friend Nick, who does NickReads, on this podcast. We were talking with him a couple days ago, and we were talking about fees, and he gets better fee percentages per project than ours. But then I'm wondering, like, okay, are you doing more work? Which might lead. He does great architecture, dig architecture. I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
In Florida, so look him up. But is that where then, okay, your fee's bigger, but your hourly rate, maybe that's where we catch up, is because of our efficiency. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So there was another member. There was another member on the group that said, he asked, okay, what is your flat fee for a custom house? And I said what it is, and then he said, man, isn't that low? And then I said, for us, it works. And we've done the reverse math, and you know what? I didn't have time to do this morning, and I actually second-guessed myself. I had a glass of wine last night, and I told my wife, I was like, wait and see what I'm going to do on the podcast tomorrow. Because people are saying, aren't your fees too low? Then I'm going to break down, I'm going to do the reverse math and prove that we make like more per hour than a doctor and a lawyer. And then what's going to happen? But I didn't do that.
that wine gets into Lance's blood.
It was a really good glass of wine. It was a Lance-sized glass of wine. I was like, this is a good idea.
Yeah, half a bottle glass.
So I didn't do that. Yeah. But I do think we could make a case for it. But what I'm getting at is, then I got into a little bit of a discussion. It was a good discussion with this other architect, and he said, well, does that fee include selecting all the finishes, the fixtures, and basically interior and exterior design on a like spec level?
Yeah.
And to which I replied, nope, it doesn't. And he goes, oh, well then I think that fee is justified, 100%.
Yep. And we should ask Nick, does he do like a spec book too?
That's a great question. Or is it like a spec sheet? Yeah.
Yeah, because he was saying he did a really cool modern house, and then they rounded the corners on gyps or something that just, he was like, "What are you doing?"
He probably did like what I had to do in my house, like orange peel and
I wanted to make that joke on the thread, like, yeah, some idiot put orange peel in a modern house.
Who was that? Who was that guy? My wife made me do it, just so you know.
Yeah.
We were tired of living in the hotel for 10 days as our house was finished, and they're like, okay, just get it done.
Yeah.
So what I'm struggling to figure out is I want to put a name to the set that we deliver. It's above a builder set, but it's below this. It's below this like 6 to 10% fee that you would get if you were speccing everything. I don't know what to call it because on the last 2 custom houses that I've done, which are modern, they're contemporary, they're cool, and the construction budget was between $800,000 and $1.2 million. So I don't know, they're pretty good houses, but what we did so as far as speccing goes. We did, because they were both in HOAs, we do always have like one sheet of, okay, here's the exterior materials that you picked. But our clients are doing it, and our clients typically do a really good job. And then the other thing is like, I don't know if these other cities that everybody else, they have to have the same thing we do here in Denver. So in Denver it's called the Design Center. And after I built my house, what I found out what it is it's basically like this loose group of warehouses or places where you can go pick out all your fixtures, all your light fixtures, all of your kitchen, all of your kitchen finishes, interior finishes, all that kind of stuff. And the people that they have working are our interior designers, and they're working off of commission of selling you the product. So what I feel like what we have here is the free market. It's never really free, right? But as free as it is sort of taking care of that portion that we don't take care of anymore. And quite frankly, do you want to be picking out the fixtures with people?
No.
Okay. And that's not to take away from anybody else who wants to do that stuff. It's just,
because
honestly,
it can really make a design pop. It can be awesome.
Absolutely. And
but I don't want to do it.
Yeah. So like for Jazz House, that was all done by our client. And you go look at those interior pictures. She had great taste. Great taste. There wasn't anything I questioned other than like, well, maybe you could have had more modern furniture. But like at the end of the day, I know what it was like. I grew to know them on a very personal level, and I know what it took for them financially to build that dream house. So like, what am I going to do? Try to just like dictate how, if you're going to do $20 a square foot tile compared to like 5 or 10, which give you the same look because the architecture is great.
Yep.
That's again back to my house. That's the big lesson for me is like, look, if you crush the architecture and it's clean, it's clear, and we at least do a really good job on the openings and the windows. Yep. Everything else falls into place. Dude, you should have seen I walked around our neighborhood last night, and there was a full moon. Yeah. And the full moon came all the way through my house. Like we were on the back side of our house. Yeah. And you could see it.
The backyard.
You could see it come all the way through my house. I'm like, yeah, I designed it for that.
Yep. Exactly. To just take credit for everything.
Wife, smacked her on the butt, kept walking.
Designed it for that. And also, too, I think it depends physically, geographically, where you're at and what fees you can get, and then what class of people you're servicing, right? So think about the classes. Lower class, architects.
Lower middle. Just call it that. Oh, sorry.
No, I'm breaking it down.
Oh, okay.
Lower class. Architects are not serving them as much because unless you're doing like a shelter or low income housing, they're buying existing stock.
Exactly.
Right? Middle class, I think like it's analogous to today's society. It's being broken apart into either you're going to the lower class or you're going to the upper class. So the middle class is just basically the housing suburbs that are putting out, and some architects do draw that, right? Or
we do that.
Yeah, but ours actually, I would say we service the upper middle class, still in the middle class, the upper middle class, right?
But not the 1% in the way you would think of it, right?
Right, but I would say that the upper middle class, you might have 2 people making $75K, right? And that's the upper middle class. Technically, I don't know where the numbers are, but I would say once you're getting above that 200, 300,000, that's the upper class. I think technically if you're making above 100 grand, you're in the upper class, but just in our speak right now, we see 2 people making $75K.
Well, actually, the threshold is $350,000. If your
There
combined
you go.
household is 350,000, you are technically in the upper 1% of America. So
Right.
so our typical the last 3 custom houses that I have under contract right now that I'm designing, one is super modern, it's going to be awesome, and then the other 2 are different styles or whatever. But those clientele for us here in Colorado specifically they're usually like software engineers, and each person is making $100K. So I think we're still below that 300,000 threshold. I'd say our clients are like, their income are between 200,000 and 350, and we're not at the 350.
So I don't think we've cracked the code of getting into the upper class and doing 6-7% fees. I think sometimes in the future we will.
Yeah.
But then, so that's in Colorado. It's there. In Colorado, we have this market of upper middle class. I would say in Minnesota, you have upper class where you get architects, and then everyone below, because I live in Rochester, know a lot of doctors, a lot of IBMs there, a lot of engineers. It doesn't. Those people are upper middle class, borderlining upper class, right? They're like the head of neurology or whatever. They are still getting builder sets that they're modifying. I mean, they're big houses. They're really nice houses. And of course, there are some that get architects.
And
stuff
who's
like
picking
that.
out the finishes? The wife.
Yeah, exactly. So like it doesn't even, like, our jobs would barely exist there unless we went and jumped up to the upper class.
Yeah.
And especially all these cabins. Oh my God, the cabins, the lakes up north, they're all builder plans. They're not all of them. I will say there are some, architects. There's a really cool firm there, but like, man, it's upper class or builder plans. That's it.
There's no in between, and I think we have hit this in between.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying.
Me too. I think 100%. So it is what it is.
Yep.
Yeah. What do we got next, buddy?
So I think we have our first return guest besides our friend Nick, and that is my dad, Old Man River.
Old Man River returns.
Keith. We did make a shirt for him. So was it? We went up in the summer, made OMR shirts, and it said OMR Crew, and then he has a little saying, Latin saying, and I put it on the sleeve. And I made one for all of the brothers and, stuff like that. And we go down to the basement. We're going to put on some show for the kids. And Dad's down there, doing something. And we walk down and we all have these shirts on. And we sat there for about 3 minutes and he's talking to us. I'm like, Dad, do you notice anything? He's like, what? Like, shirts. He's like, what? And then I threw his at him. He's like, oh, he thought it was the coolest thing. So he got his OMR shirt.
Yeah, they're slick. Somebody designed them.
Yes.
Somebody with a design eye designed them. So with that, we will get into part 2 of Old Man River, best and worst advice, yes?
Yes.
Hi, Alex and Lance. Thanks for the invite back. You have 2 good questions, and I think I would comment or respond as follows. For question 1, if you could give one piece of advice for someone just starting out, what would that be? I would say you have to have 3 things. The first, applicable skills. That means you just have to be competitive. You have to, be in the game, per se. Second, got to have a positive attitude, and that means I'll do whatever you need me to do type of mindset. And third, you need to be aggressive. That means you got to find ways to go above and beyond what is needed. If you got that kind of a framework, you can accomplish a lot. As far as the second question, how would you recommend moving up the corporate ladder? Now that's a tougher challenge, and I believe you need to do at least 3 things. But since time is limited, I think I'll just share a few words on the first action, and that would be you need to establish your significance. And by that I mean you need to be aware of the bigger picture. The kind of think like an exec and act like an exec is so true. That one also means you need to find ways to understand the big problems that the executives are dealing with and to offer creative options or solutions to those for them. And always the challenge, you got to be brief and you have to be ready to provide more details if asked. And then one thing real critical is make sure it's clear as to those aspects that you would lead or complete so they understand the value that you bring and get them basically looking to, wait, this is a great idea, let's do this. There you go. I'm looking forward to hearing you both discuss these further online. I'll listen to the podcast. Best wishes. This is Old Man River. Catch you later.
Thanks, Dad. I think that's absolutely great. And I want to start on the first one. And it's what we try to bring when we teach to college. And what college is maybe missing out on is that technical skill. No matter what you do, you need a technical skill. And what I found out is that no matter how high you get up in the ladder, that you cannot lose that technical skill. So, for example, I've watched The Voice a total of one time. And some singer, not Brad Paisley, but whoever, people are probably going to scream, whoever's like one of the country guys on The Voice. Do you know?
Blake Shelton?
Sure. Anyways, obviously he's a massive, a great singer and all that. And he was coaching someone. And he was talking about tone and pitch and all these other musical things that you knew he knew exactly what he was talking about.
It is Blake Shelton, just so you know.
Awesome. So that person was singing and he's like, you need to do this. And it was like this masterful manipulation into it, like a beautiful, brilliant coach telling exactly what they need, right? So like he's this superstar, but he's getting extremely technical. Same thing with Dr. Dre. Like he's on that board. He knows exactly what to do. So if you know a skill, that is huge. I think attitude then is like one of your multipliers.
It's a multiplier of what you're doing.
Yes. Absolutely. And then aggressive. I could not agree more. I think I'm going to get Dad, and now that I say this, I'm going to probably, the book Extreme Ownership. And because Jocko, I got to bring him says his mode is default aggression, right? And I really like it because I started to think about it. I'm like, well, that doesn't apply. Like he's in war, right? And he says that the enemy ever comes back, you just increase aggression, right? Fire superiority, all that stuff. But I see very successful people. And what I've been noticing too, some of the people that are hiring us our age, even the CrossFit, old Army guy, fit, that big developer from way back in the day, fit guy.
Yep.
One of our buddies that leads a division up in North Dakota, aggressive guy. And what I think, and I just read in another book, he didn't say aggressive, he said intense. And I think aggressive, intense, and focus, I think it's key, and it shouldn't be a negative. And I don't think my dad says it's a negative.
It's a shark's world.
Yep. And I think people sometimes think of it as a negative. And I just wanted to, that was my point to add on with my dad, is that aggression, don't think of it as a negative. Think about it as tackling the problem head on and getting it done. So that's my first part, and then I'll let you go, and then I put a line for his second part.
No, I would agree with that, and I kind of want to take that aggressive idea and then segue it into one of the things he said is you need to find what the heck is it right here? Find your significance. So
yeah,
whatever little company, big company, medium-sized company you ever get into, I think the key to help start moving up the ladder or start showing your value is you need to be highly observant and watch for an opening of something or that could a little opening, a little crack of something that the firm, the company could be doing, another service, and tackle it head on if it matches your skill set. So for me, when I first moved to Colorado and was working for another firm, there was this idea that we would start building information content. And I jumped right on top of it. The other employees had no interest whatsoever, but I know for a fact that it at least extended my employment there, even though the economy was tanking. It extended it as long as possible. And then what has it done for us? It has been the foothold for everything that we do. So I saw it as an opening at that firm, and then we both saw it as an opening in general for our little industry, right? And it was a way for us to keep feeding ourselves throughout the recession. And then obviously then we've used that, and we've applied a good attitude to that BIM skill.
Yep.
And we've been aggressive with it, and it's permeated how we teach, how we do everything at the firm. And so it's just been this ever expanding thing that we do.
Yeah. Yeah. And then to go on his second part where you were at, he said, establish your significance, solve the problems above, and then solve them completely. So as someone who, we have people working at this firm, I am so happy and thankful when someone helping me out comes to me and they've solved the problem for me. Like, oh, did you think about this? Yes. Did you think about this? Yeah, write it down. And everything comes to fundamentals. I was dealing with another professional the other day, and older, smart guy, and all I wanted to do, I laid out the week before what the problems were, and then we started going haywire, and I just went back to the problems. Like, can we just focus on these problems and getting solutions? Like, that is the answer to so much, moving up the corporate ladder, right? If you have a corporate, in a small firm, we're not that corporate, right? But if you have this corporate structure where there's a boss and then there's 12 guys or 20 guys under him, right? And you're the one solving, thinking up the chains and solving that completely, that guy is so happy that you're on his team, because guess what? He wants to move up the chain, right? So if he moves up the chain, guess who he's going to recommend moves up the chain and takes his spot? So that person.
And one thing I want to clarify here is, so where Alex is saying, let's just focus. Hey, here's where it gets tricky is, so let's say you have 3 problems you have to solve on whatever task you're doing or whatever business you're working for, right? If you just focus on those 3 problems while at the same and crush them, and then here's where it can go haywire is if you start identifying future problems and bringing those up without focusing on those additional problems.
Yes.
However, I think you set yourself up to do a better job and also look better for your boss or your superior or even just your client is if you focus on those 3 problems. Then at the same time, you set it up so that you're already solving these future problems that you've identified in your head. Then when you present your solution, it'll just be self-evident. You don't even need to bring it up. So then,
right.
so you're still doing that. But at the same time, you're not overwhelming people with like, well, yeah, we have these 3 problems, but oh my God, and then we have these other 3. Like, nobody wants to hear that.
Right.
That's not the way to attack that head on.
And I think here's the nuance to the idea of moving up is that if I solve these 3 base problems, they're just going to keep me in that role. That's all I'm going to do if I'm going to, solve that, right? So some people go to, well, I'll take some of my time and solve the higher end projects, right? But they're not going to move you into that role because you've proven that you can barely solve the base ones.
Exactly.
So the base needs to come first, and then your extra time or effort is to that thought above.
And then when those extra problems come up in the meeting, and you can point to the piece of paper and you can say, "Oh, look, I've already thought about that." You're a hero. You're instantly a hero. That's the way to do it.
Yeah. This goes right into my next segment because we're talking about advice, and we've heard it a couple times. Just do it. Don't be afraid to fail, right? And when I heard that, I think Caleb was on the last time. I go, yeah, why? I don't even get why that needs to be a saying. Like, what do you mean afraid to fail? That doesn't make any sense to me. But it made sense to me. I brought up a new idea to you yesterday that we're pursuing in the background. We're still doing our fundamental things. And it's like, and I said, we should teach a new course at CU, right? And we'll pursue it. But here's the fear in that, right? The initial fear, because you asked me, we don't even have time. What do we do about this? And I had answers for you. And you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Perfect, right? But when I was thinking about that, we don't have enough time to teach another course, right? And here's where you're afraid to fail. So let's say we went into this new course and we didn't keep one of the old courses. It'd be like, well, what if the new one peters out? What if it doesn't work? What if that, decides, okay, that was good, but the program's going in a different direction. And then we just lost the opportunity cost of that old one, right? That's where that fear comes in. So what I would say to all those that do struggle with the fear to do something is what a lot of entrepreneurs do, and they take mitigated risks, right? So my solution was, we won't lose that base. We could either split it so that, we co-teach, or what we've wanted to do is grow our people, because teaching makes you better. So what if one of our colleagues then teaches that class?
Exactly.
So whatever you're doing, if you're afraid to do it, you need to carve out somehow how you keep your foundation and move on. It's not these giant leaps. And if it's not, a course, let's say it's time. If I take my time and do something else, then I'll lose out on the fundamentals. So carve out time. Is it going to be from 5 a.m. to 7 a.m.? Is it going to be from 8 to 9:30 at night? That's how you have to mitigate that so that the failure won't become a total loss.
Brilliant. Love it. Al Gore spitting that hot fire. 100%.
Yeah.
Cool. Is it time for so last week we unfortunately we're not blessed. That is exactly the word, blessed, with our best friend's voice on the podcast. So he is back. He has survived. He has survived his health condition. It wasn't anything too serious. And we're happy to have Nick back with this week's segment of NickReads.
Hello, best friends. Sorry I missed y'all last week. Please forgive my absence. A reading. The importance of trust. Bad news and change. Some situations drive people to avoid or disregard the truth. This can happen when things go wrong and a manager tries to cover up or gloss over the bad news. It's a terrible example of leadership. The correct approach, if a project is proceeding in the wrong direction, is to stop, face the problem, and figure out how to move in the right direction, even if it means having a difficult conversation with clients or employees. It is far better to deal with the pain and work through the challenge than to avoid the truth and compound the problem to the point where it cannot be resolved. Art Gensler. Al, helmet, yellow, not my color. Toodles.
I don't know what that's referencing.
Al, helmet, yellow, not my color.
I'm doing the first letter of each word, like if he's giving me some sort of code.
Tango, Alpha, whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
You'll have to explain that to me. So what did you think?
Oh, run right at the problem.
Right?
We say, I don't know how many times we've freaking said it over and over again. That's what your clients want to hear. That's what the people you work with want to hear.
Yep.
Is they want to hear you just fess up right away. I promise. If you just say, "Yep, we screwed up, and here's how we're gonna fix it," how good does that sound? Man, yeah. I even liked hearing myself say that. Right?
Yeah. And if you don't do it right away when you see it, just know it's going to be a bigger problem in the future. So you're just wasting time and letting the problem, the monster, grow.
It's like a wound. It's just going to fester if you don't run right at it. Right?
Yeah. And this week's ArchiSpeak talked about a problem where their files went corrupt and all that. And they were just talking about the internal struggle. But what's crazy is that there's issues with programs. I've had this at least on one project where the file went corrupt and we've lost a bunch of hours and all that. And we just kind of told the client, like, hey, we're delayed because of, kind of computer technical issues. And at first it was weird me kind of saying that, like, because I don't think they'll get it. But I think people have enough experience. Like if a computer goes haywire, everyone's like, yeah, that's probably a nightmare. So just attack it head on. Just great timeless advice from a guy who's been rocking it at architecture for 50 years.
Absolutely. There you go. Who, Art Gensler or
Gensler?
Nick?
All these are Gensler.
Okay.
Nick also. He looks young. He's pulling it off, right? He's 86 years old. Fun fact about Nick.
Okay. All right. And with that, we'll get to our closing segment. Continuing Al's awesome streak of crushing the code questions. Whoop, whoop. We are continuing into chapter 30. So this is from the International Building Code. For all of you non-architects, for all of you architects, here we go. Let's see. This is going to be good stuff. Chapter 30, Elevators and Conveying Systems. Okay. 3004.2.2, Escalators. Where provided, because you do escalators all the time, Al. Constantly.
Yeah.
Where provided in below-grade transportation stations, escalators shall have a clear width of not less than how many inches? Okay?
Okay.
So imagine if you're in New York, you're going subway, going down the subway.
Well, I feel I've been in some narrow escalators.
Exactly. So that's why, I'm queuing you up here with your photographic memory. Okay, so what is the clear width they need to have minimum if they're below grade? A, 30 inches, B, 32 inches, C, 36 inches, or D, 42 inches.
What's E?
There's no E. Sorry.
Can I get a tape measure?
Yeah. So let's
Do
do.
I get a tape measure?
No, you can't get a tape measure for this.
Okay, what is this, Lance? What do you think? How many inches is this?
24 inches is what you're doing right there.
Then I think, man,
As he holds his hands out.
Yeah.
Okay,
but I
the
mean,
drawings over here. It's 36 inches wide. How about that? I'll grab that for you.
Grab me that. But even if I say like this is what I've been in, doesn't mean that that's up to code. This is what? 32?
36 in. No, that's 24. Sorry, that's what I said. Yeah, that's 24 inches. Yeah, so maybe. Wow.
I'm gonna say 30. I'm gonna say 30.
Incorrect.
32.
32. It's kind of like a door, right? You have to have that. For egress. Okay.
Yep.
In commercial situations. All right, we're done with chapter 30. Congratulations. Woo! Chapter 32. We're gonna skip 31. Screw it.
Yeah, what is 31?
Don't ask me. It's something.
I should have said A. And B.
It's like 2 pages long. I can't remember what it is.
Okay.
Chapter 32. Encroachments into. This is actually a very interesting question. Because you're the planner. Okay. You're the planner at the firm supposedly.
Yeah.
Chapter 32.
Actually, Fernando is, but he doesn't work here anymore.
Yeah. Shout out Fernando.
Yeah.
Chapter 32. Encroachments into the public right of way. 3202.1.1 structural support. Ready? A part of a building erected below grade that is necessary for structural support of the building or structure shall not project beyond the lot lines, except that the footings of street walls or their supports that are located not less than 8 feet below grade shall not project more than how many inches beyond the street lot line.
So
let's
the street line.
Yep. So let's street lot line.
But
Street
not
lot
your
line.
side. Doesn't say anything about sides.
It's saying street lot line. Exactly. A street side, a street, because they reference a street wall, right?
Yeah,
So if you have a building, okay. And then the other key is so this foundation has to be 8 feet or more below. And then how far can that footing project into?
It makes sense that it's street because your side, I'm like, you're going into someone else's property. That's not cool.
Exactly. So it's a public right of way situation, okay? How many inches can your footer extend beyond that street lot line?
I actually like this question.
Me too. I knew you would like this.
Yeah. Because then you don't have to do the, like your L footing there.
Exactly. Yep. A, 8 inches. B, 10 inches. C, 12 inches. D, 16 inches.
So I was thinking, typical footers. Ours aren't that big, but I mean,
we're talking a commercial building.
We're talking commercial building. This could be huge. Like, wouldn't this pertain to New York skyscrapers? A lot of they'll do caissons, but
a lot
still
would be caissons. Yeah.
But still, those might be round.
Some
right? Huge.
Yeah, like a bell caisson or something.
So, and if it's centered on that exterior wall, it's going to project in.
Yep. How many inches? It can't go more than how many inches? Okay.
Yeah.
The maximum amount of inches you can encroach into that.
I'm going to stay in the upper half with either a C or D with a 12 or a 16.
Okay. What's your gut say? Go with your gut.
16.
12 inches.
Ah.
Yeah. Can't go more than 12.
Yeah.
I thought your gut would be 12 inches.
I thought so too, but then I got on this massive scale. Because remember going to the World Trade Center Museum?
Yeah.
Seeing how big those are. There's remnants of the World Trade Center towers.
Massive.
And they're just, if you're in New York, that's one museum you need to go into.
Absolutely.
It's so good.
Yep.
Okay. That's it. Still 100 for 100.
Still 100 for 100. You're killing it. You know what? I think, Codebook we should open up after this one, and I should just do it. I should tab through the residential one.
Yes.
And then we should tackle the residential one.
Why not?
Yeah. Why not? Why not?
So thanks for listening. Please contact us. Like us on Facebook.
Follow us on the Twitter.
Yep. Twitter.
Send Al all of your awesome, or me, all of your awesome questions. If you want to send them to Al, it's akg@f9productions.com. If you want to send it to me, lmc@f9productions.com.
Yeah.
Tweet at us. Go to iTunes, please. As we're nearing, believe it or not, so this will be, I think, episode 32. We have somehow done this for 8 months straight now.
Yes.
And so we're going to continue all the way through the end of the year. But what really helps motivate us is if you go to iTunes and if you leave a 1-star review, actually put 5 on top of that.
Just add it's like baking instructions for recipes. Like,
exactly.
Take 1 star, add 5 more.
Add 5, and then we'll keep on doing this.
Write a review. That really helps. Thanks. Keep getting after it, everyone.
See ya.